others. Trust. Trust is the lifeblood of our profession. We trust in our equipment, our training, and most importantly, each other. When we're in the heat of the moment, it doesn't matter who you are
Good morning, everybody. It is 10:31, and I am calling this regular meeting of the Zoning Administrator to order. Looking at our first item is review of the draft minutes for the January 15th, 2026 Zoning Administrator meeting. We are now taking public comments on those draft minutes. If anybody has any public comments on the draft minutes of that January Zoning Administrator meeting, please approach one of the podiums. Okay, seeing no comments on the draft minutes of that January meeting, we will approve those as submitted and close public comment. We are now taking public comments on item 3, non-agenda matters. This is the time when any person may address matters not listed on this agenda, but which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the zoning administrator. So if you have any public comments on an item that is not being presented today, please approach one of the podiums. Okay, not seeing anyone with any non-agenda public comments, so I'll close that public comment and read the zoning administrator's statement of purpose. The zoning administrator is appointed by the Planning and Economic Development Director and has the responsibility and authority to conduct public meetings and hearings and to act on applications for minor or reduced review authority projects or entitlements. A determination or decision by the zoning administrator may be appealed to the Design Review and Preservation Board, Planning Commission, or City Council as applicable to the decision. All actions taken by the zoning administrator may be appealed within 10 calendar days. If the final day of the appeal period falls on a non-business day, the appeal period will be extended to the next business day. Thanks everybody for joining us. We moved the location of these meetings to this room as of now and for the future. That was effective February 1st. So the address is 100 Santa Rosa Avenue, and you probably know that because you are currently at that address. We have no consent items, so we will move to the first item, which is a public hearing for minor design review at 1071 Santa Rosa Plaza. Can we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Zoning Administrator McKay. My name is Suzanne Hartman, and I am the project planner presenting today for the project located at 1071 Santa Rosa Plaza. Just a general history of this application. It originally came in back in 2023, and it was scheduled for a regular zoning administrator meeting back in 2024, which was then continued to a later date to be noticed as a public hearing, and then upon that date, it was, well, upon request of the applicants, to postpone to a date uncertain. So it's been kind of in a, it's been postponed for a while, just to provide some more information on the applicant's side. And then it came into us late last year, and now it has been moved forward with additional information and has been noticed as a public hearing. The planned drive lane and parking spaces will add 10 on-site parking spaces, 4 of them being ADA accessible and 6 of them being short-term for pickup and delivery parking, mostly for goods in the area of the plaza. Currently, the Santa Rosa Plaza parking garage clearance heights do not allow for van accessible parking spaces, and all existing van accessible parking spaces are located at the far southern ends of the plaza in an anchor building at the ground floor lot. So the current location for these accessible parking spaces requires a long travel distance for those.
Project planner. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm being notified that we are having some audio issues. If you could just pause for just one moment
yes.
while I troubleshoot so we can ensure that those who are attending virtually hear. Give me one moment.
Thanks.
Testing. Testing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So where was I? Yeah, so the current accessible parking spaces require kind of a longer distance, travel distance for those experiencing disabilities. So kind of the whole idea with this additional drive lane with parking spaces was to accommodate additional accessible parking spaces for those with disabilities and to increase accessibility to the plaza, not only from the rear, but also more towards the middle or front of the plaza. This is an aerial view of the Santa Rosa Plaza. The general plan land use designation is core mixed use, or CMU for short, and the zoning district is also core mixed use with a downtown station area combining districts. The core mixed use zoning district is applied to areas within downtown Santa Rosa to foster a mix of residential and non-residential uses and to activate the older Great Courthouse Square area and key transit corridors. The downtown station combining district is intended to enhance and reinforce distinctive characteristics within the downtown station area specific plan. The project will further numerous goals, policies, and actions within the general plan, particularly in Chapter 2, the Land Use and Economic Development section, relating to encouraging the growth of existing businesses and attraction of new businesses to the city, and supporting a range of business and commercial services that are easily accessible. These are the supporting plans of the project. So as you can see on screen here, we have those 10 parking spaces, 4 of them ADA compliant. There was some concern about the removal of trees, so I just wanted to specify on this plan that to the best of the applicant's ability with this project, they've tried to preserve as many trees that are existing there as possible. So there are the removal of 4 trees, but the rest, I believe there's 8 they're trying to, or not trying to, they're planning to preserve. So I just wanted to reiterate that on this slide. The project has been found categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, according to section 15311, which is the construction of a small parking lot, and with section 15303 for construction of a small facility. It's been found statutorily exempt from section 15183 with its consistency with the general plan 2050. There are no impacts peculiar to the project that were not previously analyzed in the EIR or require additional environmental analysis. So there were quite a few public comments provided both from the previous 2024 meeting as well as from this year up to even receiving some from yesterday, which to the best of our ability we've posted prior. There were a couple that came in that today that I'll try to cover as much as possible, as well as we have the applicants present to assist with those responses to those comments. So as you can see on screen, there was overall concern of pedestrian safety, vehicular circulation, landscaping, and the design. In addition, there are a lot of general concerns over how there's already enough parking for the mall. So I just wanted to reiterate that this proposal is to help with the existing van accessible parking spaces that are located at the far southern end of the plaza by adding some more additional spaces here at the front of the plaza. For pedestrian safety concerns, there are new bollards proposed along B Street within the project area. And these bollards will provide additional protection for pedestrians while maintaining adequate access for emergency vehicles. And the plans have been reviewed by city staff, which includes the fire department, transportation and public works department, the engineering development services, and the building department. And the project has been conditioned appropriately in terms of public safety. So there are no unresolved issues as a result of staff review. All findings can be made, and the applicant has reviewed and accepted all the conditions of approval. So it is recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator approve a minor design review permit by resolution to allow a drive lane with parking at 1071 Santa Rosa Plaza. And again, I do have the applicants present here to just go over some responses to some public comments. Thank you.
Great. Would the applicant like to make any comments or make a presentation at this time? Feel free to approach the podium at the top of the room.
You can lift the podium higher. There's a button on the right to raise it up because you will need to speak very closely to the mic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is that clear? All right, great. Thank you. Andrew Davies from EK Engineering, project applicant. We also have
Yeah, if you could speak just a little, maybe bring up the microphone just a tad and speak like
Sure, I didn't know
uncomfortably
whether-
close to it. Thank you.
Is that better? Okay, thank you. I'll start again. Andrew Davies from EKN Engineering, project applicant. We also have members of the development and operations team here to answer any questions that may come up from the public as well as from you, Mr. Zoning Administrator. Thank you for allowing me to speak and for the city staff's time and effort on this project. We appreciate the passion from downtown Santa Rosa. We want, just like everyone else, a vibrant, welcoming, and economically healthy city center. And I think that's exactly why this project deserves support. This project is about making our businesses more approachable, especially for customers who rely on convenience and accessibility to participate in the local economy. There's twofold to this project, as Suzanne said. It's to allow for quick visits, picking up takeout, running in for a purchase, attending an appointment or meeting with a client. Not every customer is planning on a long stay at a parking garage. And for many small businesses, those are quick, convenient trips or a meaningful way to participate in the local economy. When access is easy, businesses thrive. When access feels complicated, people go elsewhere. Equally important is the addition of ADA spaces closer to the storefront. While there is ADA parking in the parking garages, proximity matters for individuals with mobility challenges. Improving accessibility is not a step backwards, it's a step towards inclusion. And we haven't forgotten about the pedestrian experience in this application. We briefly showed the site plan in Suzanne's presentation, but there's a 15-foot minimum sidewalk for the pedestrians, which extends into 25 feet on the south side as well. We've also incorporated in working with the city staff, as Suzanne said, the bollards, which is an improvement from the existing pedestrian experience. In closing, a healthy downtown must work for everyone, and we believe we presented a thoughtfully designed short-term parking and accessible spaces that coexist with walkability. We're again here to support the project and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm going to hold off on my questions until after public comment. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for this item. If you're interested in providing a comment, please approach one of the two podiums. And feel free to make your way up there if you do intend on speaking. Thank you.
We are opening the public hearing and opening public comment on item 6.1. Will the member of the public who is on the east podium go ahead and state your name for the record if you so choose? You will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Let me just prepare that timer and we'll get you started. Thank you.
It's a little of your presentation that I'm for. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's okay. Sorry. Thank you. I can just time myself on my phone.
Apologies, we're having just one issue. One moment, please. Okay, thank you so much. The timer is prepared.
All right. I'm Eris Weaver. I'm the Executive Director of the Sonoma County Bicycle Coalition. And we support making our city more accessible to people no matter how they travel. But I have to say, looking at this design, I don't see that bicyclist concerns have been included in this. There are pedestrian concerns. Adding the two driveways, the in and out for this driveway with 10 parking spaces adds 2 new conflict points for cyclists and pedestrians as well who have to cross those driveways. It's hard for me to imagine that there might not have been other locations to add a couple of ADA compliant spaces rather than adding 10 spaces, basically turning this whole front of this mall, which we've already taken away the public art, and if part of the city's goals is activating downtown, what activates a downtown is making it easy for people to walk and bike and go in between all of our different spaces, and adding more parking, which the city has already admitted isn't necessary, that we have so much more parking downtown than we need. I also don't get how this is a minor change, adding 10 parking spaces and a whole little driveway on a street that already has a fair amount of traffic. Seems contrary to so many of the other goals that the city has in terms of more bike and pedestrian accessibility and making downtown a friendlier place to walk and get around, adding more concrete at that, what could be a visually beautiful entrance is just counter to everything that we care about. So we are not in favor of the project, and I do see that decisions made here can be appealed to Planning and City Council, which I do not rule out. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Janice Carmen, good morning to everyone. I was present at the City Council meeting or design review. They sort of reflect each other from time to time. And we're looking at the entertainment area in Courthouse Square to the mall, as I understand it. And this, I haven't researched this, but I do think that we do need more parking downtown. I also have attended the bicycle and pedestrian meetings, and I know, somewhat about the programs that, they've been trying to put forward. They're also very conscious of the roads and the traffic moving. So to hear her comments, I support whatever it would take to make it safer for bicycles. And I also want to say that the new cars, we got another new car, and the new cars, the cameras aren't always viable, especially in the rain. So it would be a problem if they were trying to negotiate in a small space. And I'm just saying that I think this should fit with the Santa Rosa plan, and I forget who that was doing that. So that it integrates a little better with what she's talking about to keep people safe. But I am for more parking, and I am for beautifying and improving the frontage of B Street. I've lived here a long time. My father actually had an office on B Street. So I think it sounds, really good, and I'm glad to see Santa Rosa lifting areas up. And we're also going to be having the drinking downtown, which will close the street. And as I understand it, it will be closed all the way to the mall. And part of that is to generate economic development. So I think there should be a little more work on this, but I think it sounds like a good plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else wish to make a comment? Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a resident of Santa Rosa, and I came here today to talk about the teenagers and the kids and my concern with their inability to cycle and walk safely in this city. I was really disappointed to see this plan. I was under the impression we were working toward putting a pathway from Railroad Square through to the other side of downtown. It seems very difficult as a pedestrian and a cyclist and even a driver to find your way around. There are a lot of high school kids taking the train to school, and I would love to see them take the train, get on a bike, and be able to ride home. And I'm one of those parents who is stuck having to drive to pick up my child from the train station because there is no safe route for her. And I'm glad we're beautifying Santa Rosa. I just think we're going in the wrong direction. And I would love to see some people stand up for what really needs to happen, which is invest in getting rid of, putting a pathway through. It would be so much more beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a public comment on this item? Please approach the podium if so. Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. So I have some questions. Maybe I start with staff. There was a question about why is this minor? And then I kind of had a question if you could clarify what exactly is the purview of the review this morning of this item? What are the specific types of findings that need to be made in order to review this project?
So this project, when it came in, it was deemed as a minor design review permit application. Even though it's a drive aisle, we still consider it as a small facility, which in our zoning code is reviewable by the zone administrator level. And then the findings aspect of it is its consistency with the general plan and applicable zoning code standards, including the downtown station area specific plan, which we do have listed goals and policies and actions within the resolution that was attached to this agenda. And then, sorry, just going down the list of the findings in the resolution. It has to do with the design being appropriate for the use and location, the design and layout of the proposed development, not interfering with the use and enjoyment of the neighboring existing or future developments, the overall design, and whether the design of the development will be a desirable environment for its occupants, as well as it being found compliant with the California Environmental Quality Act, which we have stated there's 3 sections of the CEQA. I should say it's 3 CEQA categories that we've been able to make the findings for it being exempt.
Great, thank you, appreciate that. And then for the applicant, there's probably a mix between engineer and the other applicant team members. So I was wondering, it wasn't immediately clear to me on the plans, is there some sort of grade separation at the crosswalk halfway through the drive aisle? It seemed like there was some paint, but I was wondering about grade separation. So if you could confirm that there is some sort of paint marking and then also if grade separation is present.
Yes, thank you. Happy to address that. So there isn't a grade separation. It'll maintain the existing. Oh, is this not on or?
It's on. It just has to be a little bit
I'm just not close
closer.
enough to it. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah.
Thank you.
So there is no existing grade separation, and that condition would be maintained. So that's why we had added the bollards as well for protection of the pedestrians, both on the drive aisle as well as protecting from B Street.
Was grade consideration or grade separation considered as part of this process or no?
We tried to achieve that through the bollards. It would just make the project a little bit more expansive if we were going to do a grade separation and change the grading, throughout the drive aisle.
Got it. Okay. So safe to assume that there's no grade separation at the entrance or exit of the drive lane as well?
Correct.
Okay. And can you?
I'm sorry, it's maintaining the existing condition, which does not have a grade separation. Yeah. So,
Right.
Thank you.
And then can you confirm on the paint or other marking of the pedestrian crosswalk in the middle of the drive lane?
Confirming that it would be painted, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe adding one point on the to address the concerns regarding the bicycle and the addition of driveways. We're only adding one driveway. We're maintaining an existing driveway on the north side, and so the only additional driveway would be on the south side. There's a similar shaped delivery path on to the north of the proposal.
And how do those delivery vehicles exit when they finish their deliveries?
So they exit exactly, they'd be exiting essentially out of the entrance on the north side.
Okay, got it, thanks. And then am I seeing like a material change at the pedestrian area as well?
That's an existing material that we'd be maintaining.
Okay, but.
Coming straight in from Fourth, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
but there would be a difference in material at the pedestrian
Correct.
area. Okay.
Correct.
But there would not be that at the entry and exit of the drive lane.
Correct.
Okay. Was there consideration of maintaining the existing material at the entry and exit of the drive lane?
I think the idea was to maintain as much of the existing material as possible and only making minor modifications, but also adding the ability or the widening of the driveway on the north to facilitate the proposed development.
Okay. So what would the material be on the areas that would be the primary, like, entry and exit? Like, to me, it looks, the way the plan's read, and I could be completely misreading this looks like it would be a street material until the pedestrian crossing, which would be the existing material. Is it all maintaining the same material for the drive lane?
Yeah, if I might, I have my plan set down in below if I can.
Yeah, please.
thank you.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
I'm going to put the plans on screen as well. Hopefully that kind of helps.
Great. Thank you.
I also just wanted to add real quick, apologies. I did one thing that I didn't add to my response. I wanted to say that this project was reviewed by our traffic or transportation and public works department, and they did find it to be consistent with the active transportation plan. So just wanted to add that note.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, just for convenience, my question was about material of the drive lane versus material of the pedestrian crossing.
So the proposed materials are concrete, which would be in the predominance of the drive aisle, and then the existing pedestrian crossing coming in from 4th Street would be maintained. I believe those are a brick pattern brick. Yeah.
So was there any consideration of keeping that existing brick pattern at the entry and exit of the drive lane? And if there was, were there any issues with that consideration?
Well, so we tried to maintain as much as possible where we're needing to adjust grades in order to accommodate the entry and exit points was where we were proposing a concrete, yeah.
Got it. Thank you. That's helpful. I did have a question about the number of trees being removed, but staff did answer that, so I appreciate that as well. Where are the other ADA or accessible parking spaces throughout the mall complex? And was there a consideration of alternative locations for those, for additional ADA spaces?
Yeah, so the existing ADA stalls are in the parking garage or garages, and also there are several in the parking area on the south side of the mall. But all things considered, those are relatively far away for somebody with mobility issues.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to respond to any comments that we heard about pedestrian and cyclist safety issues as well, if you wanted to do so.
I think just to reiterate that we're trying to maintain as much of the pedestrian experience as possible with the 15-foot sidewalk expanding out to 25 feet and also maintaining the existing driveway. So we're really only adding one driveway to the experience there.
Great, thank you. I actually do have another question. Signage. I'm seeing a one-way sign kind of halfway through between the entry and the pedestrian crossing, and then another one on like the second half between the pedestrian crossing and the exit of the drive lane. Is there any other additional signage proposed as part of this project? Besides accessible parking delineation?
Sure. So there's both the painted one-way on the concrete, the signage that you mentioned, as well as there's short-term parking signage for the remaining 6 stalls as well.
Okay. And then there's a do not enter on the drive lane exit as well, it looks like.
Correct.
Okay. Would the applicant consider an additional pedestrian or cyclist-oriented sign just warning of a new entry that is not currently there? I don't know if this is for you or for another member of the applicant team.
Yeah, I think they would be open to that, yes.
Okay.
You're speaking on the south, so on the exit,
If
most likely?
If possible, I was primarily thinking on the north side, because
Okay.
in theory, if somebody's traveling south, there's a potential that a car's coming and they don't necessarily immediately see it out of their corner of their eye or something like that. But if the applicant is open to it, I would love to have it on both sides.
We can certainly accommodate that, yes.
Okay. Okay, well, with that, I have no further questions. In terms of deliberation, I agree with a lot of the comments that were made to the planner in advance of this project hearing and made today. I think this is certainly not an ideal use of a pedestrian area in terms of walking and biking. This is a very primary entrance to the mall facing Courthouse Square. So I do recognize that against the additional car-oriented infrastructure that the applicant is making an investment in. I always appreciate preserving as many trees as we can, and it seems like the applicant has demonstrated a commitment to that. And I do appreciate also the increased accessible parking spaces. I think a lot of us, if we don't move around our community in a wheelchair, we often don't think about those that do. And I think if I would certainly be more likely to stay home or go to more accessible places with the existing ADA spaces being in the large parking malls with the parking arm and not being super sure about how accessible the entry of the parking garage is for folks in wheelchairs. So I do appreciate that. So I think we can work on a condition about the signage, but like I said, I do understand and share the concerns about introducing new conflicts to cyclists and pedestrians in the downtown area that we're trying to become more walkable and bikeable. But I don't, at the same time, think that the volume of cars using the drive lane would be substantial enough to specifically find that the project would interfere with the use and enjoyment of the property and of existing and future developments in the area, or that it would not provide a desirable environment for the public or its users. So with the condition that I referenced, does staff have enough information to draft a condition about the signage related to watch for cars or something of that nature?
I believe so. So it's adding additional cyclist signage on, I'm trying to orient of where you were saying the signage should be.
Yeah, so I'll look to the applicant to make sure that we're all on board with this, but the applicant shall install pedestrian and cyclist-oriented signage to increase awareness of the new, shall install permanent pedestrian and cyclist-oriented signage that will increase awareness of the new entry and exit at the entry and exit points of the drive lane. Are we okay with that? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so with that modification, I will approve the project. Please note this approval is final unless an appeal is filed with the Planning and Economic Development Department within 10 calendar days of today's decision. For this item, that date is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Thank you to everyone who came out for this project and to the applicant for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to our second item is a fence replacement, the Stark fence replacement at 2233 Gross Avenue. Maybe I'm saying that street name wrong, but who knows?
Thank you, Zoning Administrator McKay. My name is Sichnur Bisla, and the project before you today is the, oh, sorry, I'm not sharing the right screen. 1 second. There we are. The project before you today is the Stark fence replacement at 2233 Gross Avenue. It involves a request for a minor conditional use permit to legalize a residential wood fence replacement, which ranges from 8 to 8.5 feet in height. Here is an aerial view of the neighborhood. The site is located at the corner of Pamela Drive and Gross Avenue. The site is zoned R16 or single-family residential, and the general plan land use designation is low-density residential, both of which support residential wood fences of this type. Here's a site plan. So portions of the fence where you see in red are solid fencing, and then portions of the fence that you see in brown have horizontal lattice on top. And you'll see here on the interior side property line, it goes up to 8 feet 5 inches. And then on the exterior side, it's up to 8 feet tall. Here's a photo of the exterior corner side. The fence is screened by plenty of landscaping and set back from the sidewalk. And here's a photo from the inside, the interior side property line. And here's a photo of the solid fencing to the rear. As you can see, the fence design is modern and a little bit atypical from what we see in neighborhoods. However, there is, this is from a nearby residence about 2 streets away. So the fence is compatible with other existing fences in the neighborhood. And we're able to make all of the required findings for a fence. As you can see, it's compatible with other structures in the neighborhood. It's located in the same location as the fence before and a typical location for residential fences. And staff is also able to make all of the required findings for a minor conditional use permit. The fence is categorically exempt from CEQA because it involves the construction of an accessory structure. We did receive a question about the fence's proximity to structures and whether it's a potential fire hazard. As mentioned earlier, this location, it's a replacement, and this location is typical for single-family residential fences. And also, fire has reviewed the project, and they had no issues or concerns. We did also receive another comment/question asking how it's possible for, if the fence was built illegally and it was not code compliant, how it's possible that the applicant is seeking to make it legal. The fence is, it was built without permits, and there was a code enforcement case. And typically in this case, if it could have been done legally had they obtained the proper permits, it is an option for the applicant to obtain the proper permits to legalize the fence rather than take it down. It is recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator, by resolution, approve a minor conditional use permit to legalize the Stark fence replacement at 2233 Gross Avenue. And that concludes my presentation. Here is my contact information if there are any further questions or comments. Thank you.
Great. Would the applicant like to make any comments or presentation? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Let's open public comment on this item. If you'd like to speak about the fence legalization, please approach a podium and wait for the recording secretary to give you the go-ahead.
For those of you in the chamber who are wishing to make public comment on item 6.2, please make your way to the podium. We have an individual on the west lectern. You have up to 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record if you so choose.
Ready. Good morning, Janice Carmen here. I am just stating comments that are actually questions. I think it's a beautiful fence, and I think it looks really nice, and I'm familiar with fences. But I'm curious why it's, is it 6.5, 8.5? And I want to know what the zoning is supposed to be for a fence, and I'd like to know how high you can go to make a fence, because it's just an odd number, and I was just wondering why the fence is ending up being with the extra 5 inches. So anyway, that's my comment. And a question if somebody knows it.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a comment on the fence project? Sure, if you'd like to. Unfortunately, yes, thank you.
Can you hear me? So actually the fence, the entire fence is 8 feet. And from what I understand, the exterior, the requirements are 6 foot solid, 2 feet of lattice, which is what we have. The variance of the +3 to 5 inches really is because the fence is built on a grade. And so if you measure the fence from its pressure-treated base to the top, it's all 8 feet. But because of the heavy grade on the side yard, it does increase between 3 and 5 inches in a couple of spots.
Great, thank you.
And thank you for saying the fence was nice.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to make a public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Staff, did you have anything to add about the fence height or the zoning code?
Yes, so per the zoning code, without a permit, in the interior side setback and the rear setback, fence of up to 6 feet solid and 2 feet of lattice is allowed. And then in the exterior setback, only a fence up to 3 feet is allowed. However, by obtaining a minor conditional use permit, you can get that additional fence height. So that is what this permit is for.
Great, thank you. I have no further questions. I agree with the public commenter. It's a very nice fence. I always appreciate that type of material for residential fences and that look. And I can make all the required findings for approval. Appreciate the applicant for sticking it out and for being here today. Thank you. I'll approve the project. Please note this action is final unless an appeal is filed with the Planning and Economic Development Department within 10 calendar days of today's decision. For that date, for this item, that date is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Our final item is also a fence located at 801 7th Street.
Good morning. The project in front of you today is a residential fence which requires a modern conditional use permit located at 701 7th Street. And the applicant is proposing to legalize a 7-foot fence, which is 6 feet of solid red wood with 1 foot of ladders along the Orchard Street frontage. And this project is within the Cherry Street Historic District. And here is the location of where the proposed, this is the proposed location of the fence. And here's a more bird's eye view of where the location is. And as you can see, that the house is kind of oriented diagonally on the lot, which doesn't allow for a proper backyard. So that's why the applicant put up a fence, so they can have a proper backyard and not allow people to intrude on their privacy. The general plan land use designation is low density residential, which is consistent with the zoning designation of R-1-6. It's a historic district and is within the downtown station area plan. Here's the site plan of the fence, and there's a white transparent fence that's 3 foot tall that extends 30 feet from 7th Street up to the fence that's 6 feet tall, and that extends 31 feet to the rear property line. Here is an existing picture of the fence, and the trees help break up the massing of the fence, which maintains a pleasurable walking environment for pedestrians. And this project has been reviewed in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and it is categorically exempt pursuant to SEQA guidelines section 15303E because this is a small structure, a fence. At this time, there are no unresolved issues. No public comments have been received for this project. Staff analysis has concluded that all findings have been met, and the applicant has reviewed and accepted all conditions of approval. It is recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator approve a resolution for a minor conditional use permit to legalize a 7-foot fence along Orchard Street. And my contact information is at the bottom left of the screen should you have any questions.
Great, thank you. Is the applicant present, and do they wish to make any comments or presentation? Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have no questions. I think this is another good-looking fence in a residential area where you find similarly good-looking fences. No proposed conditions or any changes, so with that, I'll approve the project. Thank you. Oh,
Public comment.
public
please.
comment. Before I approve the project, would anybody like to make public comment on this item? Apologies, thank you. That was a close one.
Thank you, Connie. Janice Carmen. I think it's another very good-looking fence, and I am kind of a fence junkie, and I've been reviewing fences for many years and taking pictures and going, yes, that's great, and look at this, you know. But no, I think it's a great fence, but I've been having also a debate with myself recently about heights of the fence, because I think it's great to have the fences, and I think there should be a definite sense of consideration of security when the fences are built. But there's also the security and the safety of the residents. And one of the things that I've thought about lately is when you get a full fence around and it becomes very tall, like 8 feet does not sound beyond what I think a fence could be and should be. But problems could arise, and I hate to be the bearer of, you know, bad whatever, but the thing about getting out, I think it should be a consideration with zoning about safe exit from yards that they're semi-sealed with fences, and they look beautiful and they work for security, hopefully, but I think there should be some idea of how people would get out. Say your fire started in the front of your house and you're stuck in the back. You don't want to have a ladder back there where people can go back and forth in your yard, but you want to be safe, and you want to have some sort of way to know that you are safe, and you'd be able to escape a fire if you had to and you ended up in the backyard. So anyway, I'm just going to say that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Would anybody else like to make a public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Yes, thank you for that. Same kind of conclusion that I tried to make before not opening public comment and making my decision. So I'll close public comment and approve the project. Thank you. Please note this action is final unless an appeal is filed with the Planning and Economic Development Department within 10 calendar days of today's decision. For this item, that date is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. That, I believe, concludes our business for this meeting. So the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.